What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to why the average Australian is richer than you and why the United States can't copy them. Quite the title here. The wealthy country as well. This is a news headline, I guess. But wealth is something we love to pride ourselves upon in the United States. We're often seen as very wealthy in terms of money and objects and cars and things like that. But what really is wealth? What does it mean to be rich? People will define that in a lot of different ways. I think that it's about life. Is your life rich? Because you can have a Lamborghini, but you have nothing. You have no friends, family, like children. I mean, if that's important, like that's becoming a controversial topic nowadays because nobody wants to have kids, which I understand. But anyways, let's see why the average Australian is richer. It's quite the title. Here we go.
A new Credit Suisse report puts the median wealth of Australian adults at almost $409,000.
I need to book that flight. Look at this, guys. Wow.
$109,000.
Household wealth is surging, with new figures showing it's climbed to nearly $15 trillion.
When you think about the richest country on earth, what comes to mind? The United States, right? The land of opportunities, home of some of the biggest companies in the world, and the stomping ground of billionaires. And if we take a look at the average wealth, you might be right. Take all the money in America and divide it by the number of people, and that number is astronomical. But that average is heavily skewed by the super rich at the very top.
The growing gap between rich and poor Americans is one of the biggest challenges facing the country. Get this, the richest 1% controls more wealth now than at any time in more than a half century.
But if we take a look at the median, the person standing right in the middle of the pack, the true average Joe, the United States start falling down that list. And who's sitting near the very top year after year? Australia.
That puts Australia on top of the international list. Belgium and New Zealand, Canada, the UK and France are also in the top 10, and the USA sits down at 18th.
That's right, the typical Australian has a significantly higher net worth compared to the average American. And we're talking double or even triple in some years. So what's the secret? Did they win the lottery or discover something new? And it turns out it's neither. In fact, it comes down to two very powerful economic engines, a unique retirement system that forces everyone to become an investor, and an absolute obsession with real estate. And today we're going to dive deep into the Australian model and see why it's caught the eyes of American policymakers, including Trump, and why experts say that bringing it to the United States is almost impossible. And if you like videos like this, make sure to subscribe, and let's get started with the video.
What's the retirement program?
Retirement is the final chapter of the American dream.
And let's start with the biggest difference. Retirement in the United States depends on your 401k. It's great if your employer offers it, and even better if they match your contribution. And really fantastic if you make enough money to contribute to it, but that's largely voluntary.
U.S. Social Security is facing insolvency by 2033.
If that trust fund runs short, benefits would have to be cut by around 20%.
At the same time, the U.S. retirement system received a C+ rating from the Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index in 2024.
We also need to talk about retirement confidence because it feels like Social Security is not going to pay out. And nobody really feels like they're going to get anything. But yes, the optional retirement thing, first of all, it's optional if your job even offers the 401k or 401k match. But if they don't, it is completely on you to create your own retirement plan. And think about it, in a country where it's all about flashiness and what you have now and buying the newest clothes, car, jewelry, iPhone. iPhone is the big one. Everyone got to have the new iPhone. When it comes into that, you don't have much. You got pocket change left over to put into, first of all, just regular stocks. We're not even talking about retirement accounts that you can't touch until you're 59 and a half. Nobody wants to do it. So we're not encouraging people to retire. And a lot of people would rather just work.
From the Mercer CFA Institute Global Pension Index in 2024.
In Australia, they have something called superannuation, and it's not just optional.
Our superannuation funds now hold more than $4 trillion worth of assets.
That makes Australia one of the top investors in the world, but you can't...
The chief executive of super peak body ASFA says its new study shows compulsory super is reducing the government's need to pay for the age pension.
Introduced in the early 1990s, superannuation is a government-mandated system where employers must contribute a percentage of every employee's earnings into a private retirement fund. And it started at 3% and has been slowly rising, and as of today, it's moving closer to 12%. Think about that for a second. For every dollar you earn, your boss has to put an additional 12 cents into an investment account that you can't touch until you retire, and it doesn't come out of your pay. It's on top of it. Whether you're a CEO or flipping burgers, you're building an investment portfolio from day one. And this creates a massive universal floor for wealth. Even a low-earning worker who spends every penny of their paycheck is still accumulating hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime through the magic of compound interest, and it forces savings on a national level. This system has even built a colossal pool of retirement savings. Australia, a country a fraction of the United States' population, has the fourth largest pool of retirement assets in the world. And it's a massive pile of capital that gets invested back into stocks, infrastructure, and property, further fueling their economy. So that's pillar number 1, a system that ensures that almost everyone retires with a nest egg. And now for pillar number 2, and this one is a bit more controversial. Australians have a love affair with property.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, or no surprises really. It's all about housing prices mainly, which have had a huge surge during the pandemic, up about 30%, as well as superannuation and share portfolios doing a bit better as well.
Like in the United States, home ownership has been the primary way the middle class builds wealth. But in Australia, it's on steroids. For decades, Australian property prices have seen explosive growth, almost continuous, especially in major cities like Sydney as well as Melbourne. A house that was bought for $200,000 30 years ago could easily be worth more than $2 million today. Because of the high percentage of Australians who own their home, this massive surge in asset value has lifted their net worth of nearly everyone in the middle class. For many people, their homes earn more money in value growth each year than they do from their actual jobs.
Damn.
Now, there's a big asterisk here as well. This makes Australians asset rich but cash poor.
And while the country's overall GDP continued to grow, its GDP per capita began to fall. In fact, per capita GDP fell for 21 consecutive months from March 2023 until December 2024.
All of this means that at the end of the day, people can afford to buy and save less.
And you might be a millionaire on paper because you own a 3-bedroom house, but you can't buy groceries with your kitchen wall. The high cost of housing also means a huge mortgage which eats into your disposable income. And it's really a double-edged sword, but there's no denying it pumps up the median wealth. So you have a system that creates a wealthy middle class through forced saving and a booming asset market. And it sounds pretty good, right? Good enough that
it does sound good on paper, but is that really good living in that? Listen, the forced savings, that's amazing, but the housing thing, it's like, what's the point really? If you're not already in that market, it's rough.
Caught the attention of people in Washington.
There's a certain Australian plan that people are liking and they're talking about. You know what I mean? There's a plan where not for children necessarily, but it's for people, working people.
The U.S. is facing a looming retirement crisis. Social Security has been under severe strain. A huge portion of the workforce.
Why does Trump not know how to speak correctly? He can never find the right words.
Severe strain. A huge portion of the workforce has little or no private retirement saving. They're relying entirely on a system that wasn't designed to be the sole source of income.
Retirement is the final chapter of the American dream. But the dream of the golden years is quickly turning into a fairy tale.
Retiring in America today is not easy. It is a very tall mountain to climb.
More than a third of Americans today feel unprepared or unsure if they're on track for retirement.
And reports say that the Trump administration has been looking into the Australian model, and it's easy to see why. It shifts the burden of retirement away from the government and into employers as well as individuals, and it creates a massive pool of domestic capital.
The Netherlands is not alone in requiring people to save.
I've worked in a number of countries, including Chile and Australia, Both of those have national mandatory defined contribution plans. Both of the systems, I think, have worked fairly well in being able to help people get in early, invest, and save toward retirement.
But many experts say that this might not be perfect. The chance of this happening in the United States are next to zero. Why? 2 words: politics as well as culture. First, for the politics. Imagine telling every business in America, from giant corporations to mom and pop shops, that they're now required to add 12% of their payroll costs to a retirement fund. The political backlash would be nuclear, and businesses would lobby and fight it tooth and nail.
Yeah, that is exactly like, if they did say that businesses had to contribute that, they're gonna say, well, why? We already do our own thing. Or that's unjust. It just wouldn't work. It's the same. The reason why that wouldn't work is a pretty similar reason to why we don't offer universal healthcare to everybody. It's because people don't want to pay for each other. They say, well, if you want to retire, you can put your own money into your retirement account. We already offer, matching 401ks to all of our employees. So if they want to invest, we'll invest with them. But we're not going to force them to invest with our money. That is exactly what they would say, guys. And that's a shame. It's a shame. Australia, you guys got a nice retirement system. I like that superannuation. Pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
Nail. The US system is built on the idea of individual choices as well as responsibilities. A mandatory government savings program run counter to a deeply ingrained American ethos of economic liberty.
Yes.
The idea of government forcing you to save in a very specific way is a really hard sell. The Australian system was born out of a very specific moment in time, with agreements between unions as well as government. Replicating that in the current American political climate is basically impossible. The Australian model proves that public policy can directly create broad-based wealth. By taking the choice of saving out of the equation, they're ensuring a basic level of financial security. And the typical Australian isn't a tech billionaire. They're someone with a steady job, a house that's worth a lot of money, as well as a retirement account that has grown since the very start of their first paycheck. And it's really a powerful example, but for America, it's likely to remain just an example. And an example from a land that's far, far away.
And while property prices and share market returns are now weakening and the rising cost of living is squeezing millions of households, there are signs of all of this wealth.
Yeah, there are, man. Yeah, there are. So that was a cool video. I like how it described the Australian wealth, but also put it in, some simple terms as to why the wealth that you see in Australia may not be the same type of wealth that we're used to in the United States. So I really want to hear in the comments, guys, what is this situation like for you? Are the prices so high, the inflation is crazy, so that you can't really spend, but you still have that net worth from your house, but you're not going to touch that money unless you sell the house, and now you're going to be homeless, and now you got to go buy another house that's already up there. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's also a very different culture when it comes to living, because I know in Germany, it's a huge renting culture. They're not one to own property, but in Australia, it seems like it's more about owning a property or a house, which is similar situation in the US. I don't really know. Cool video though. Shout out to all the Australians. I wish we had a better, I wish we put our people on track for retirement better, because they deserve to retire the way we work them over here, guys. People working 50-hour weeks like it's nothing. Crazy. Anyways, appreciate y'all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.